So I've been playing Apex since basically the day that it came out, and I have played more and watched more than I would want to admit, because I have put too much time into this game. But I feel like that means I have credit to my word, so everything that I say is basically true. Just take my word for it. I am too smart, is what I'm trying to say, so listen. And I'm going to be talking about things that could help people basically at any level, whether you're just starting out in the game or you're in gold or anything like that. And I've watched a lot of videos out there, and you know, helping tips and tricks and stuff like that, and a lot of them are just terrible. Like, they are not even worth watching. Whoever made them has just thoroughly wasted their time, if you've wasted your time watching it. So I'm actually going to be here to help you and tell you things that actually will help you improve you and your gameplay. The first and most important one is definitely communication. You need to be talking to your teammates as much as possible, whether that's through the pings in the game or in your party or whatever. Because if you don't talk to them, you're not going to get anywhere. You're going to lose a lot of fights. Some things that you should definitely talk about is stuff like your guns, like whether you have long range, close range. You always need to be talking. It's a crucial part of the game. So if you don't have teamwork, you can't do much, honestly. One thing that a lot of people don't do is you need to say stuff like when you're healing, and if you go into a fight, you're broke, you're pulling back, you say I'm going to pull back. You do say what damage you did, if you did any, and you just say what you're going to be healing with, and tell your teammates to cover you, or tell them to go push, or whatever is needed at that moment in time. There's little things like that are things that will win you the fight. Another thing that people don't do is you need to find a playstyle that suits you as a player. As if you're a less aggressive, more passive, more of a sit back player, someone like Crypto or a Watson player would suit you more, just because you see the pros and higher tier players, the Wraiths, the Gibbies, Octanes for some reason, and it might not work for you. It works for them because they've been playing with them since the beginning and they know how to play those characters. But if you've started getting into it more, you start watching people play it, and you suddenly switch to a Wraith because you see people playing as Wraith, even though you usually play as Mirage, and it's not working for you. Stick to Mirage if it's working for you, or if you switch to Wraith and you're playing good as Wraith, go to Wraith. It's all about finding a playstyle that suits you. The third thing that I've got is something that I've started doing, and it sounds stupid, but if you do it, if you take the time to go back and watch and analyse your own gameplay, it will help you dramatically, because you can see all the flaws that you've got in your game. You can go back and see some mistakes, you can see what you could have done better, you can talk to your teams, you get other people to watch, you can talk and say you should have done this, you shouldn't have pushed there, you should have pulled back, and then I would have gone and shot them, whilst you go back and heal. Or if your aim was bad in that situation, you know that, and you go into the firing range, you practice with that gun at a certain distance, and you just improve. Or whether it's things like you split from your teammates, you keep running away from your teammates and they keep dying because they're in a 3v2, or you're in a 1v3 because you've just run into a team. A thing that sounds obvious, but not many people do, is go into the firing range and practice with every gun. You shouldn't just stick with the guns that you're comfortable with, because every game you're not going to get your Volt or your Mastiff. If you drop Hot Zone, you're going to get your Alternator or your Eva 8. So I'd recommend just going into the firing range before every time you play for about 15-20 minutes. It doesn't have to be long, and just going through every gun and just practicing, because it sounds simple and something it should do, but I know everybody doesn't do that. And you have to be comfortable with every gun in the game. The fifth one I've got on this list, and I can't stress this enough, is don't always rush. It is so annoying to play with an Octane who has done 7 damage to a Gibby throws his jump pad at his head and just runs at him and pings him when he lost that 3v1. Just because you've seen someone doesn't mean you have to go and fight them. You should, like, the best play is, if you don't need to fight them, you just go around them. Or you fight when you've got a clear advantage or you know that you can win. Say, like, a clear advantage would be if you've knocked one, you go in because it's a 3v2, or if one's really low and you're certain you can win that fight, you go in for it. Just because you've hit someone or you've seen someone doesn't mean you should always go for that fight. Always wait till you've got a better position than them, like the higher ground, or you've got them pinched into a building or something like that. Alright, so number 6 is a bit of a difficult one to explain. I've got, always be careful of your surroundings. Like, what I mean by this is, until recently, I've not been careful of my surroundings. I've not paid attention to what I could use as cover, or where I could run to, or what vantage points I've got, and I've ended up dying in stupid ways. You should always make sure you know where the enemies are and where you are, and if they've got angles on you, or if the place you're in is in a bad place. And always be careful of the third party. You know it's coming. Third party Legends is real. You've just got to be careful. You've got to know where the third's coming from, and when that third does come, you've got to find a route to escape. Playing cover is an important part. You've always got to try and make the game as hard as possible for the people that are fighting you. You've always got to, well, not always, but you've got to be on the move. You've got to try and manipulate the enemies into being where you want them to be. So you've got to try, a good thing to do is try and split them apart from each other, so you're either all in 1v1s, or you've split a person from their team, so all three, if you rush that guy that's on his own, and then you've got an easy 2v3. A thing that I've just thought of as well is knowing when to retreat from a fight, knowing when a fight's been going on for too long, and just knowing when to run away, basically, because running away necessarily doesn't make you a bad player. If a fight's been going on for ages and ages, like a good minute and a half, that third fight is on its way, so you've either got to finish that fight as quick as you can, or just get out of there, because there's a good chance that you're dying there. Running away doesn't mean you're bad, it's playing smart and taking unnecessary risks. As cliche as number 7 sounds, you've just got to play as consistently and as much as you can if you actually want to improve. Whether that's an hour a day, 2 hours, how long you can, you've just got to play, and make sure you're playing ranked as much as possible. Because in ranked you're going to be playing people on your level, just around your level. Because you're not going to improve going into a normal game. You're always going to have the people who don't take that game seriously. It's that Wraith with 9,000 kills. You're just going to have people who are playing for fun. So I just suggest getting into ranked, pushing as high as you can every split. You're playing against people on your level and around your level will help you a lot more than playing against people that are below you. 8 is the biggest tip I can give, and if you do this, I guarantee, I bet you will become Predator in a week. Don't use Rampart. So that's all I've got for this video. I hope you liked it, and if you've got any feedback or you want to talk about anything, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.